Well, a Slack killer has finally arrived. Jack Dorsey has just released Buzz, and it seems to be the first communication platform that treats AI agents like they belong there natively on the platform, as opposed to just apps that are bolted on. Now, before we go deeper into this, you could already put AI agents into Slack, and I've been doing that for months already. The difference is, in the past, when you wanted to create AI agents for Slack, there was a ton of plumbing required. I have Hermes agents that currently run in Slack. I can show you how that looks like, but it was a difficult process, all in all. Like you can see from this image, there's what we call a Slack agent tax every single time that you're trying to put an agent into Slack. You have some kind of agentic harness, which in this case, in my case, I use the Hermes agent. You then have to go into Slack. You have to then go into the create app section, create Bach token, create different permissions. You have to create scopes, events, you install it, and then you have to maintain the entire thing. That's a lot of friction just trying to get an agent to work in Slack. And again, this whole theme of this channel is about creating virtual employees and agent brains and all that kind of stuff. So right here, we're in Buzz, and I'm going to quickly move my big head out of the way. And after you install everything and you get the app, it takes maybe 2 minutes or something really simple. You can then click here in agents, and look how easy it is to add a new agent right now. For starters, it already comes with a lot of default agents, but I can just click new agent. Let's say I create from scratch. I call the agent Jake. And I can describe what it was going to do. This agent right here is going to be a welcome agent, and every single time somebody new or new member enters the chat, I just wanted to say hello. That's just an example. Here's what's cool as well. In terms of agent harness, it not only has the Buzz agent harness, but you can also easily just use your Codex harness or your Claude Code harness. There's some agent frameworks that I prefer to use Codex, and there's other ones I prefer to use Hermes. So eventually they will probably have some integration with Hermes coming really soon. As you can see, they have their own one, Goose, that's coming up as well. But it's that easy to pick it, okay? You just pick one right there. If you want to customize it, you can. So in this case, we're going to do the Sol model. You can do some more advanced, parallel conversations and all that. I'm not even going to worry about that. Environmental variables you can set. All you do is you click Create Agent, and then you get a private key. Now, again, you're going to want to save this private key, but every single agent that you had gets its own private key, which again is different than how Slack works. Slack agents are treated like apps. Every single of those apps has to get scoped and given permissions. This agent right here, all it needs is a key, and you're pretty much good to go. So then if I want to, let's say, click on this guy here, you can see memories that it has right here. So again, super easy to give it memories. You can add it to the different channels that you want. I can say agent work private or general, revenue management. I'm going to say welcome right here. We're just going to add it. The role is bot, guest, or admin. Super easy. Again, look how simple this is, right? It's like you're onboarding a human. It's not all this crazy stuff that you have to do with Slack. So now we're going to go to the welcome channel. We're already getting a nice hello. And just like that, you can see the agent's waiting to respond right now, but I want to show a couple more things. So I said to the agent, hello, how are you? We're going to wait for its response. I'm going to ask what the weather is today. So look, it's nothing groundbreaking or new what the agent can do. Again, a lot of this it could already do in Slack, but I'm going to say right here, let's say Los Angeles. But ultimately, the cool thing is it makes it so easy to use. Any one of my team can now spawn its own agent. And the cool thing is every single one of those agents that are spawned also gets a cryptographic key that is associated with the person who spawned it. In other words, you'll know whose agent it is. You can actually see the activity, just like I'm in Codex or Claude Code, of what the agent is doing in real time as well. When you're using a Slack agent, you don't necessarily get this kind of thing. You're not able to see its thinking. You just kind of wait and see what the answer is. There we go. Los Angeles, sunny and hot today. That easy. You now have an agent that lives in Buzz. It can be connected to your Google Drive, any other softwares that you may have. It can even connect to your computer, and it's just done in a couple clicks. It's so frictionless. Like you can see in this image, whether you're adding a human or adding an agent, it's almost the exact same process. And the cool thing is every single one of these Buzz agents or whatever agent you decide to add also has signed events. So you can see the history of what these agents have been doing. And it's really simple to do. Now, I kind of showed you what it looked like when I spoke to the Buzz agents and all that kind of stuff. But I want to give you a quick example as well of what I'm currently doing in Slack. Again, you're going to see it's very similar, but it's a lot different how I set up to get there. So this right here is my company, my short-term rental company. And this is our revenue management channel. And I added an agent called Pricey, who essentially assists everything with our revenue management. If you want to change prices, it can give us suggestions, everything like that. And if you look at it, I can ask it a question. it will say something. And again, the whole back and forth, it's really not unlike what you see in Buzz. But let me tell you the difference to set it up. For starters, when I set up an agent here, even the output, the aesthetics of the output, as you can see, it's using bolding, all that kind of stuff. None of that came out of the box like that. That was like constantly going back and forth and creating an agent kit of how I want it to look like when it's actually doing the work and what the output should show. And then, not to mention, there was a ton of stuff that had to do with scopes and an axis that it was given that to this day still creates issues. It's not super easy. It's something I have to kind of manage every day. I literally had to create another agent called Techie, whose sole job is to then solve any tech issues with all the other agents that are running in my Slack. And again, it's been an incredible tool, this kind of stuff. Um, but I think as time goes on, Buzz is going to be where we're going to be migrating all of our Slack related activity to. And here you can kind of see just side by side some of the differences between Slack and Buzz. Again, Slack, when you want to install an agent, get an agent in there, it's really an app plus tokens that you got to give it. Again, editing a lot of the scopes. Whereas here it's member plus key. Both of them do have ways that you can log some of the activity. Again, a lot simpler with Buzz. And this is a really cool one here too, the code plus the review. Now, historically, anytime you have code, you would eventually push it up to GitHub, merge it to main when it's good to go, do a pull request, whatever it is that you need. Buzz is essentially trying to do, and I don't think they're quite there yet, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to merge GitHub, they're trying to merge Slack, and all these and any kind of conversation around the code in that one platform. And lastly, the ownership, and this part is for me the most interesting. I think open source is the future. I think everything, any kind of software that we see right now, there's either an open source equivalent or there's going to be an open source equivalent that's going to be just as good. Now, there's been alternatives to Slack before. Mattermost, I think, was one of them. But I think the big thing is this is open source and it's backed by a really huge conglomerate, in this case, Jack Dorsey's Black Company, which I think gives a lot more comfort and trust into the long-term process for this. At the moment, with Slack, you have to do a bunch of add-ons to really maximize what it can do. Buzz, again, being open source, you can tinker, you can tweak things how you want it. Like just for our personal purposes, we're creating our own property management software as well. And I think one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to integrate Buzz into there so that my team can see from one dashboard all of our communications. They can see everything that our traditional property management software would do. And then they don't have to constantly switch back and forth between going to Slack, between going to our cleaning software and all these different spaces. And I think that alone is already a huge thing. And then all of those will be natively connected as well so that the agents will have context about everything that's going on around it. Now, I do want to say one thing. The whole point of this is that whether it's decisions around the code or any of your projects or where you store it or how you talk to the agents, the idea is that all of that lives in one platform so that you can easily query it and you can find the information that you need. However, there's a caveat to that, and I don't think that Buzz has solved it yet, although they probably will in the future. But that's the company brain aspect. So let's say that you have made a decision 6 months ago about something, and then 2 months ago you made an opposite decision about the same thing. How does, when you query these agents, they know which information is the most correct? And they could do it by how stale the information is, when the most recent decision time was, finding context. But ultimately, I still think that is where you're going to have something like GBrain, which I kind of show here. And before Buzz, actually, I had the Slack logo here, although that will probably be changing to Buzz soon. But none of that changes. Ultimately, GBrain is still going to be there to be able to rank the information, to re-rank it, to use embeddings to find the information easier. So Buzz and GBrain will be fully integrated, and I think the combination of that is going to make it very easy to find the right context at the right time. We talked a bit about the vision for Buzz. They have decision. It's in the channel. You can patch it. You can then update whatever Git you have. It can be reviewed, and then you can merge it. All of this will probably still live on GitHub or at least be mirrored on it. But I think the long-term vision is that it's going to be a one-stop shop. Now, I want to show a couple of features about Buzz itself, right? So you have anybody will recognize this. This just looks like Slack. You can make different channels and all that, eventually groups, all this kind of stuff. Now, the cool thing is, if you go to settings, there's one thing I particularly want to highlight, and that's compute. So I want you to take a look at this. So it kind of shows right now what model you can run. I have a simple Mac Mini. I think it's like 16 gigabytes or something, and this is the best model that can run. But here's what's different about this. As you can see here, this is roughly the vision of how the computer is going to work. At the moment, if let's say you have a community of 10 people and all 10 of those people then have maybe a 16 gigabyte Mac mini, those can all be used for inference to run local models. Now, it doesn't mean yet that you're going to be able to pool those 16 or those 10 Mac minis together and then get them and be able to run a much, much, much larger model. But that is part of their vision for what they want to do in the future. So something that can then be used in your community as for members only is they can actually start to use models that you've maybe fine-tuned and trained and then be able to do it. And you can kind of see it from this image here. I may have a Mac mini, you may have a laptop, somebody else may have a workstation. We can then choose to opt in our computers. And then the members in that community will then be able to use some of those models for their own compute purposes or for their own queries or anything like that. In the same way that we use ChatGPT or Claude or anything like that, it'll be able to use local models that maybe I may be hosting on my computer, which will then power the different agents that we have on Buzz. In the future, though, and again, this is being read from the vision documents from the actual open source repo. You're going to be able to combine all of these different computers, whether it's Macs, studios, or laptops, or anything, to then, I guess, pool that RAM together and the size of it and run a much, much larger model. So it doesn't take a genius to realize that eventually by doing this, you could start to run frontier models with really similar capabilities as like Anthropic and OpenAI, but it could be like Kimi K3's new model. You have enough computers, and you can start running all of them. Now, I don't know how they're going to be able to solve it and make it not go super slow because of the latency and all that. I'm sure that's all coming up, but it's a really, really cool feature that I haven't seen anywhere else yet. So I think ultimately, the purpose of this channel is to see what is new in AI and most importantly, what is actually something that you may use. Every single day, it seems like a new groundbreaking breakthrough is happening. And the truth is, 99% of it is not necessarily easily applicable or even usable to your own business. So this one I think is different though, because even my personal plans, we've been using Slack for a long time. Probably when Buzz gets a little bit more mature, and again, I'm going to play around with it by myself first before I migrate the team. But this is something that a couple of weeks to a month from now, we're probably going to migrate everything fully over to Buzz. And I think just the added benefit is when we think about open source, you can tweak these softwares exactly how you want them. And so I think open source is going to win at the end. And I think finally we can get rid of all the countless SaaS subscriptions that every single business is subscribed to. I know for our own business, we have about $4,000 to $5,000 worth of software that we pay for every month. And if you can cut that down by even $2,000 to $3,000, sure, and have your own custom solutions, then at that point, it might even make sense to either hire a part-time developer or a developer overseas and help you make even more custom solutions. I think the future of work is going to be custom software and it's going to be particularly attuned to your business. And I think this is just another great tool that can help along the way. So if you like this video, I'm always happy to get comments and feedback. Again, I'm pretty new at this kind of stuff, so don't be afraid to give direct feedback. Hopefully you guys keep getting value from these videos. Thank you.